Well, hello my friends. Alfredo here, the Rebel Turner. And I know it's been a long time since I've been on the lathe. Last job I had was a night job and it just drained me out completely. Not used to it anymore. Working at night and no matter how much I slept during the day, on the little bits at a time, a couple of hours, wake up and then sleep, and it seemed like all I did was work and sleep and be tired all the time. Thank goodness the job is over with and I'll be back on a day schedule. But drawback is I won't be back close to home. I'll be coming home on the weekends, but I'm across the state for this. Today's video is going to be about lathe buying. Okay, and we're going to discuss different options on different budgets that you might be in, starting at the low point and going up to whichever height you want to go with on spending. Lathe is almost like boating. You can spend a lot of money on wood turning, or you can get by very, very modest budget. Here's an example. If you're on a budget and you happen to receive one of these Wood Turner's catalog, well, great catalog. Lots of great things in here, but toss it away. Don't be overwhelmed by all the things they offer you that you should buy. Can you buy them? Absolutely. If budget is no issue with you, by all means, go ahead and buy them. Craigslist is my friend, and I will discuss different options and different lathes of what offers you different options. Not going to discuss every option that's out there, but I'm going to discuss the basics. When you go on Craigslist, basically there are three types of lathes that you can be looking at. One is the Reeves drive lathe that you would have starting on the low end with the Harbor Freight lathe, which you can buy brand new, $270 I believe, when you get it on sale or something like that. Ridiculously low price. And I know a lot of wood turners, very successful wood turners, that are using a Harbor Freight wood lathe. You know, that's under $300 you can buy yourself a brand new Reeves drive lathe. Now, what is a Reeves drive? Reeves drive is a mechanical pulley system that opens and closes with a lever. And basically, when on the headstock that pulley is closed all the way, the belt is riding at the widest circumference of that, giving you the slowest speed possible on the lathe. And generally those are around 700 RPM mark. But they're nice because although you make those adjustments, it's with the lathe running, but if you are running at 700 RPM and you want to increase it, you pull that lever up and that pulley starts opening up, the belt starts riding deeper, making it on a smaller circumference, and that speed of the lathe will be a lot quicker. Probably around up to the 3000 range RPM. Nice lathe to start off with. That's on the Reeves drive. Now you can get many brands of Reeves drive lathes. Jet, Delta, um, Grizzly, and the list just keeps on going and going. And those are generally considered to be mid-sized lathes to full-size lathes with a 12-inch circumference. That means you can turn something as big as 12 inches. But alongside with that, they also have the capability of swivel head, so you can swing the headstock away from the bedway, giving you a bigger circumference. Not something that I'm too keen on for several reasons. Safety is number one. Safety being that the slowest speed is 700 RPM. And if you're turning something over 12 inches, it's iffy. It's iffy. Turning something higher than those RPMs on a bigger piece, especially when it's off balance. So we'll discuss that in probably another video. But for a 12-inch lathe or slightly over that, it's a perfect lathe. The next type of lathes that you can get are the 4-pulley system, 3-4 pulley system. And to me, unless it's already an electronic variable speed that you can turn the speeds with a dial, and it slows down the motor, not necessarily anything to do with the pulley. It just lowers the RPM of the motor, raises the RPM of the motor. Unless you're getting into that, you get the 4-step pulley lathe like what I have. Let me use this one as an example, and I'll probably show you something on Craigslist, and you'll have a ton of these type of lathes that are fairly reasonable in price, ranging from $100 to, you know, like I said, how much you can spend is almost endless. Now, the reason why I like this type of a setup with the 4-step pulley is when you first buy them, the option to change the speed is the matter of jumping the belts to the slowest pulley would be the fastest, and the largest pulley will be the slowest. Buying this type of a lathe, and if you're a do-it-yourselfer who likes modifications and doing your own thing and customizing your lathe, or having the glory of saying, I did it, this type of a lathe gives you the most flexibility for you to grow with. But if you want to make it with bigger capacity by adding riser blocks, which you can see one of my videos that I did riser blocks for this specific one, it's easy enough for you to convert your regular 110 motor that it comes with to a 3-phase motor with a VFD conversion kit. Therefore, you can have an electronic speed adjustments to it, and the speeds go from 0 to 3000 RPMs without having to jump the pulleys all the time. Yes, you can still jump the pulleys if you need to get a higher speed than what your motor is set at, but I don't find a need for that. I keep it at the lowest pulley, which is the biggest one on the headstock, and my speed goes from, like I said, I mean, it's not like I can turn anything at 0, but if I'm running at 300 RPM mark, I get a little bit of torque to it, a little bit. The faster you go, the more torque you have, of course. So, with this type of a lathe, there are many options from, like I said, around the $100 mark and up. And sometimes you can get the perfect lathe, a great lathe, you know, for that same $100 than a cheap one for the $100. So it depends on what you're looking for. Go with something that's a little bit heavier. Weight is a big factor on wood turning on lathe when you start getting into bigger items. So the more metal it has, the more stable it is, in a sense in a sense. The other type of lathe, of course, that you can get really is already set up with a VFD drive, set up from factory, which you could get Grizzly that has some nice lathes at a $1,500, $2,000 mark and up. Laguna, there are tons, and all the way up to going with robust one way, which are higher end lathes at much higher price ranges. Like, for instance, I mean, if you're looking at robust, you know, $7,000 for a lathe. Is it a nice lathe? Absolutely. Do you have no set budget and you want the best of anything? Those are the 2-3 brands to go, which would be, like I said, the Robust, the Powermatic, I shouldn't even say that, you know, because it doesn't matter what you get, even if you get the Laguna, the 20-inch Laguna, and you know, which is a lower price, it's still a great lathe. I mean, much better than what I have, for sure. But what I have was $200, and I've put in some investment and some satisfaction. Not just the investment, satisfaction of doing it yourself. And I've made this lathe what it is by doing modifications to it. That's what I love. I love figuring things out and making things work and sharing with you guys what I think was a success. And then you decide on what you want to do with it. Bottom line is, you can start turning with a lathe that's as low as $100, $300 brand new, and like I said, great lathe, and I would not step away from that if you're going with that style. You know, doesn't break your budget. And like I said, many wood turners that I know who have YouTube channels turn on a Harbor Freight lathe. So now you get your lathe and you say, okay, you know, I spent $200 on the lathe and I don't have any tools. Well, again, back to Craigslist, there's a lot of times you can get lathes in all different price ranges. Like I said, from the $100 on up to $2,000. And most of the time they come with already a few accessories because it was somebody who used it. So they will have a chuck, they will have some tools, they will have a few things that normally you would buy. But you say, okay, I'm going to go out and buy a Harbor Freight at $300, like I'm suggesting. And now, what do I need? Gonna go. You can turn with that lathe the way it comes just by buying a set of Harbor Freight tools. Very basic set. And it comes with a couple of roughing gouges, a couple of scrapers, a small detail gouge. What else does it come with? A diamond parting tool, sort of tool. Enough tools to start your basic turning, but it lacks one tool. It lacks a good bowl gouge. Now, you can go this route, or you can very inexpensively make a whole set of carbide tools, or you can buy them easiest tools for a beginner to learn on. Now, I use traditional tools because I learned, and that's all I had when I got a lathe, was traditional tools like the bowl gouge. But you can buy a whole set. I shouldn't say you can buy a whole set. These are not necessarily inexpensive if you go the route of buying them from manufacturers that specifically make them. But if you look at the components, mild steel from Home Depot, a wooden handle, now you have a lathe you can make your own, and inserts as low as $2 a piece. You can make yourself a nice set of tools. The round ones are a little bit more expensive. The round cutters are around $9 a piece. That's pretty much the best price you're going to get. But for $9 for the tip, a screw or another $1, a piece of wood, a ferrule, 99 cents. You can use the copper fittings. You can put and you buy a 36-inch length of steel, you can make 2-3 out of that, costing you probably around $12 for the round, $4 probably for the square cutters, because you can buy the square cutters for around $2 a piece. I'll put a link on the description as to where you can buy packets of 10 square or slightly rounded over cutters for that price and under. Making your own tools is another satisfaction that you can do. But okay, so the Harbor Freight's toolkit for 8 pieces, it's around $80. $80 gives you a lot of tools. If you are saying, okay, I want to go with the traditional, I want to go with the tools that you have, even if you don't want to spend $100 just for a bowl gouge, you know, close to that anyway. Out of those Harbor Freight tools, if you modify one of those, which I did, one of those roughing gouges, and modify it and make it a pointy edge like this, it's a little closer to a bowl gouge, and you can safely use this roughing gouge as a bowl gouge because the cut will be pretty much the same. Not endorsing this. This is only in the event that you are scared to start wood turning, because how much do we have to spend on wood turning? And you don't. It's what you want to spend. It's how much you have in your pocket. It's how fancy you want to get. It's basically, the passion of wood turning should not be determined by how much you've invested into it, but by how much you want to turn, even if you don't have the money to turn. So, you've come to the right place if turning is your goal and where you want to be. So, that's enough about talking about the lathe itself. Now, options and what we can add to the lathe. Alright, I just received a package. Yeah, spending money, Al. A Supernova 2. Are they better chucks? Pff, yeah, it's like everything else. You can spend $120 for a brand new chuck with everything you need, or you can spend $300 for one that does the same job. Now, the reason why I have this particular chuck, which comes with everything, that will get you started and will increase. I mean, you can work without this, and everybody does an occasional video. And when I first started turning, I did not have one, so I did it without it too. I'm not going to tell you or brag right now that I know how to turn without one. Yep, I'm sure you can figure out how to turn without one if you don't have one. But I have one. As a matter of fact, I have a few, and I can tell you this is one option to the lathe that's going to open up your wood, turning to a whole different dimension. So anyway, I just received this. I opened it up basically and just put, because when you buy it, the chuck, this part right here that opens and closes, that grips your wood, doesn't actually come mounted on. They come in a separate bag, and you have to mount them on with a little Allen screw and the screws that they provide. And it comes with a worm screw as well, which is right here. And seeing that I'm not discussing, or this video is not about how to set up a chuck, there's many videos out there, but they are numbered. There's a number on the end of these, and there's a corresponding number on the back of each one of these jaws. So just match them up and put them up, and you're good to go. Beautiful chuck. This is an insert type chuck. What does that mean? That means a lot of lathes have a different thread configuration on the head. Okay, so depending on the lathe that you have, most of them will be a 1/8, which is what I have. 1/8. What does that mean? It's one thread, 1 inch circumference, and 8 threads per inch. That's 1/8. That's where that number comes from, and that will be equal to all lathes. Now, this is much bigger than this. Okay? So this is an insert type. So here's my 1/8 insert. Fits right on the thread. You put this on. Now one thing I do to ensure me that I got this nice and tight without multiple wrenches and doing things that I'm not set up for, I'll set this right inside the bedway. It just so happens that on my lathe it fits. That cross section is exactly the same size as the gap on my lathe. So rather than, like I said, finding different wrenches that's going to work, I set it up in there. Oops. Set it up in there and take a wrench or something that I can put in between the jaws and tighten it up. So this video is on buying a lathe with whatever budget you have set aside, and don't let all these extras and these things that you see, or other wood turners who not wrongly informing you. It's a decision that they make, that they want everything under the sun, and that's their prerogative. If they have the money and they feel that there's a tool out there that's going to make life easier for them, then I say more power to them, but not necessarily that I believe that it's necessary or that it's a method that everybody should follow. Like I said, the options are endless on how much you spend, but the options are also there if you don't have the budget and you want to get your feet wet and get started on this beautiful hobby, and let your creativity come out from the end of your... Now Now, this lathe, because I have done upgrades to it, even though it's a 4-step pulley, I have done the VFD drive to it, which is a 3-phase motor sitting in there. Don't think you can see it, but I got a 3-phase motor over here, which is a 1.5 horsepower. I have a VFD right here, which allows me to change the speed of the lathe manually. I had it overridden, but my pod over here, this also, you can wire this up to work with separate controls other than using the controllers from here, which I have it set up for forward, reverse on the switch, and I had it set up for max speed, lowest speed instead of this. But that pod went bad, so I overrode that, and right now I have the controlled back to the VFD for now, until I set it up. So this is a 4-step pulley lathe, which are available all over the place, very inexpensive. I don't mean necessarily this Delta, but a lot of them are the same idea. So this one, I got the riser blocks, so I can turn up to almost 18 inches diameter piece, because it's almost 9 inches from here to the top of the bedway. So therefore, it's a very versatile lathe. It's a lathe that is compatible to the higher end lathes when it was only a $300. That's what I paid for this lathe, so $400 with the chuck, $100 with the tools, $500, and the VFD upgrade, that was somewhat expensive. That was around $300 for the motor and the VFD. So, you know, that's where I stand with my particular lathe. And for that price, you could probably get one. Well, I don't know. I don't know if you could get one. If you ran across one, it would be a super deal, under $1,000 with the VFD drive. So, you know, I'm not saying you could get one with these upgrades for that price. I feel I have a great lathe for under $1,000, but it didn't start off with all these features. And that's the point that I'm making, is you don't need all the features. If you like the hobby and you want to improve, or you want to have a little bit more options, and you know that you want to maintain, either put it aside, give it to somebody, resell it for the what you got it for or more, and buy the one upgrade to what you want, or make the modifications and have that lathe grow with you, and it becomes part of you. It becomes a lot harder for you to get rid of, because you know what you put into it. And I don't mean what you put into it in money-wise, because you still did it very economical, but what you put into it, as far as it is what it is, because you made it so. Speed, like I was saying, this I can bring it slow with a VFD on a Reeves drive, 700. I'll show you a reference. 700 RPM is about this. So that's the slowest you would be able to get. For something this size, it's actually too slow. But if you're working with a 12-inch bowl, it's not too slow. It's actually rather fast. But without moving pulleys, I can get up to 2,000 RPM. And to me, that's fast enough for any turning that I do. And that light spot that you see on the lid is part of the wood character. It goes through the bottom and it keeps on going, and it's in there as well, all the way up to the base. So it's the very pit of the wood. There it is. Little lidded box on any lathe. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you go out there and find yourself the lathe that you want, whether it's the lathe of your dreams or not, but the lathe that's going to get you turning. Don't use the excuse, oh, it's such an expensive hobby. It's only as expensive as you want it to be. You know, even without a lathe, you can probably do it. If you know a neighbor, if you know somebody who does wood turning, I'm sure that they would be pleased, ecstatic, if you went over and said, hey, can I try your lathe? Can you teach me how to turn? And there would be no greater pleasure for that person. I know that would be the case with me. So any neighbor of mine that would want to learn how to wood turn, I would jump on it and show them. Just like I have for a few friends or fans that have dropped by a couple of times, whether if it was announced or not, and introduced themselves and you know, did a little bit of turning with me over here. It's a type of box that you don't need to worry about grain match, because I don't have anything on the top to really focus on or trying to match with. So it doesn't matter where you put it. The whole box is the side. It has no profile on the side to match up, other than just put it on and it's done. You're not camouflaging it, you're not trying to hide it. It's a little box. I know you can do it too. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you with something a little bit more challenging than this. And if you have any questions about lathes, or if anything that I said that did not satisfy your curiosity or whatever, shoot me a message below on the comment sections, and I will get back to you. I know some of you say, oh, you know, I've commented on your videos and you don't comment back, and I am guilty sometimes of that, especially lately. But if it's a question, I do answer it. Now if it's a praise, thank you. Thank you, and I know that you're watching, and you know, and I appreciate it. Shoot me questions. Take care. We'll see you very soon.